Ta-da. Okay. And as all of you know, my name is Mary Harrow. And since I learned about energy healing several years ago, I've discerned that my life's mission is to serve as a conduit for healing and positive transformation while helping to elevate the consciousness of our local and global communities to higher and healthier vibrations. By sharing these insights, energy, and inspiration from a variety of people, I hope to guide us all toward a place of peace, tranquility, and self-healing. So my vision is a world where each of us taps into our innate energetic life force, supporting one another in the journey toward greater awareness, compassion, and harmony, creating a ripple of healing and light that touches every corner of our lives. So, with that, I'd like to introduce Tamara.
Hi, everyone.
I'm going to read her bio, and it says Tamara Nakhjavani is a Reiki master teacher, a clinical hypnotherapist, an energy therapist, theta healer, and shamanic practitioner. And now I understand she has been certified as an associate marriage and family therapist with a focus on children and adolescents. Tamara has been an integrative teacher and practitioner of many modalities, some for over a decade. She is passionate about helping her clients let go of survival programming and helping them activate their innate knowing and the power of conscious choice. Tamara is also an associate marriage and family therapist and currently works with children and adolescents as a school counselor in Lafayette. Tamara, is that still true? Is that accurate, up to date? Okay.
In fact, it starts on Monday, tomorrow again.
Back to school. Here we go. Okay, she has backgrounds in science as a biologist and law as a California admitted attorney. Her multifaceted nature has helped her appreciate the unfolding nature of her dharmic path of service. She has been an associate marriage and family therapist serving children and adolescents within the school system for 5 years, going on 6. Is that right? Okay. She has also been the proud founder of Seraphim Center for Healing and Education, a private healing practice serving people of all ages for over a decade. So welcome to Tamara.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I was intrigued when I read some of your information on your bio, which was posted on HCH website. That's where I got the information from. And one of the things that kind of stuck out for me was the theta healing. But I think before we delve into that, I would appreciate it if you would introduce yourself with whatever else you want us to know about you.
Sure. I guess I'll start with when I listen to my own bio, it's like, how many things have I done? But really, it's all connected, right? It's all part of the unfolding. I was just talking to Mary about I don't think I mentioned this when I was talking to you, but I grew up in a very left brain family of a lot of clinicians and academic people. And so academics was always the priority. And then I had a series of unfortunate events leading to PTSD and then complex PTSD. Through the power of spirit, I ended up at HCH Institute's Reiki clinic. It was a free Reiki clinic. And long story short, that led to the unfolding through the spiritual arts. And then that brought me back to how can I now take all of this and go and serve? And because in my spiritual work, people's inner children and adolescents constantly showed up in the healing sessions. I heard very clearly multiple times, go straight to the children. And so that's how I ended up in MFT school. And now I've been doing both. I work with metaphysical healing arts with my private practice. And then I sort of take the clinical lens and the consciousness that's built up over the years into the school system, which has been its own journey. So that's sort of how I can open up any of this, but it's been, at first it seemed very disconnected, and now that I turned 50 last September, it sort of started coming together about it. Really, it's not they're not separate. These things are all very much connected. So,
All things
yeah,
are
it's always connected. So, yeah, and I can open up any of these areas.
okay. That's wonderful. Well, that is definitely an area where help is needed. So thank you for the service in that as well. So that's where theta healing comes in then with the PTSD and the kind of instinctual survival that we're all kind of born with, that need for surviving or but why don't you explain what theta healing is? And
Um, if I may,
yes.
the progression didn't start with theta healing. So what, and I'll go deep
Okay.
into theta healing, but what truly reset my nervous system and like that feeling of being home again in the body, because I think that's what trauma does, is when we dissociate, we forget the feeling of safety being in our own body. It doesn't feel safe anymore, as you may know. But what brought me back was Reiki. It landed me back in my body, and I felt like myself again. I felt like I was home. It really felt like home. And that led to the clinical hypnotherapy, shamanism, tapping, all of that. And then several other bodies of Reiki. But then there was a distinct point in my spiritual evolution that I heard it's time for theta healing. And I didn't, and this happened to me many times where I didn't have a clear view of what it was. I would just hear the words and then I had to go research it. This happened 3 or 4 times in my path. So I heard it's time for theta healing. And then I looked it up and I said, okay, wow, this is like an actual body of metaphysical work. And it's channeled through the life and work of Vajana Stable. And so that's how I ended up in theta healing classes. And then I realized this is a very distinct, beautiful body of work channeled by an amazing psychic mystic. But really, we are working with the same energy, right? Like the source of Reiki, creator of all that is, the quantum field, Yahweh, it doesn't matter, that we are working with this larger intelligence in the universe. And it resonated with me. This resonated with me to work with what I call God, which depends on the person, but it resonated with me, and that the work was meant to work to co-create directly with the creator of all that is. And that resonated too, because though I'm someone who prays, I also believe that this is a co-creative process. So there were two elements of theta right away that just grabbed me. It kind of pulled me in. One was working with this larger intelligence, this universal intelligence, I want to say. And the second was the process of co-creation, that we are powerful enough to co-create with it. And what's really beautiful, and it's something that I've reflected upon, is we primordial, like when it comes to Reiki, we've known from a primordial standpoint how to use Reiki since the beginning of existence. But I feel Dr. Yusui came and gave it a system, and that we as humans do benefit from systems. And I always compare it to, like, if someone puts a watercolor palette in front of me with brushes, I can paint, but it's very different if I'm under the apprenticeship of a teacher who shows me the way. Then I know how to mix the colors differently. And the same was true of theta. Is theta healing gave me a system to co-create and to command things, because one of the primary foundations of theta is the process of commanding. So you command, creator of all that is, it is commanded. So that's the co-creative process. And from that, just from that simple command, a million things are possible. And so I can go a little bit deeper into other parts of theta that really work well. But I did want to initially touch on this process of making commands and decrease.
Interesting. That's a little different, I think, than just calling in like Reiki, the energy, or that's a definitely, to me, it seems like a different process
And
than
yet it's the
what
same.
I've been exposed to. And yet, yes, I kind of get how it all, yeah, it all turns into the same thing. Got
Yeah.
it. So
And
you go ahead.
no, I'll go into it again. There's another premise
Okay.
of theta that might be beneficial.
Okay. Okay. Um, and so I was just going to ask about how you would combine Reiki and Theta healing in a session, or is there ever a time when people need a mix of both of them? Can you
Sure.
put them together in the same session?
Yeah, I mean the fundamental command of theta, the first one, is creator of all that is. It is commanded that your unconditional love go through every cell of our bodies. It is done, it is done, it is done, show me. And so the practitioner goes through a meditative process that's available to you on YouTube as well. You go into that theta brainwave, which in fact, when you're giving Reiki, after a while, we organically go into a theta brainwave when we feel that yummy kind of, I call it the yummy Reiki trance. We are in the theta brain.
Definitely grounded. Here we go. Yeah.
So from that command, that's the foundational command. When I'm working with, I'm a seer, I'm clairvoyant, and I can see energy. So when I read people's energy, I do start with this theta command of just commanding that source unconditional love go through every cell of our bodies. That's sort of what I start with, because within that energy, there is protection, there is wisdom, and there are just so many beautiful things in this energy of unconditional love. So I start there, and then I might shift into a reading session where I see energy. Then I might transition to Reiki or shamanic work or angelic work or whatever I'm doing. At the most basic level, I will command unconditional love through theta. And this is just the most, I mean, theta healing is infinite. The number of techniques, and there's a large body of belief work under theta, just releasing belief systems that hold us hostage, right? They're survival programs.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of it is the most basic command, and yet the most magnificent command of theta is the command for unconditional love. And so that's just one very simple way that I infuse it into my work. And then there is full pure theta healing sessions where we go deep into feeling work and belief work and clearing entities and energies less than love. There is theta healing to change our genes and our DNA. There's one aspect of theta, the theta healing body of work that I feel is very close to my heart, and I want to share that now, which is some of us don't remember what it feels like to have a certain vibration. And so I'll open that. I'm an immigrant, so I came here when I was 16, and I forgot what it feels like to be supported. Because why? Because you end up doing everything on your own. You're building a life from a seed on your own, which is very different from my daughter's experience, who who has a different understanding of the feeling of being supported. So some people might be abandoned. They don't know what it feels like to be loved or to be free, let's say. Right? So one aspect of theta healing, which is really beautiful and impactful, is when you are downloaded with the divine definition and vibration of a feeling. So when we want to pull the belief of, I am not free from someone, we always download them with what it actually feels like to feel freedom, the divine definition of freedom in every cell of their body. Because then it's much easier to let go of the belief of, I am not free. This part of theta healing truly resonates with me, and I've seen its miraculous impact on clients, right? So uh, I wanted to mention that because it's it's um, it's beautiful both to remember what feelings we've forgotten and to know that we have the power to call them back in again. Like it gives me like chills when I say that, but that we are powerful enough to call that feeling back in. And then we can look at the limiting beliefs of where that survival program has kept us hostage. So if I grew up in a supportive extended family, but if I lost the feeling of being supported when I came here to the United States, I download myself regularly with the divine definition of the feeling of being supported in every cell of my body. And then I command to release the program of I am not supported in every cell of my body. So that's sort of another body of work through theta that's really beautiful. And,
Sounds
sometimes I just want to remember what it feels like to even feel like I can rest safely, in this world, that it's safe to rest. What does it feel like that it's safe to rest? So Just a little touch on that, but I hope it resonates and it's making sense to everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You really mentioned bringing in the shamanic as well. Are there tools or methods, processes from the shamanic that you specifically include that work well with theta?
It's more like theta. Theta helps people who work, what theta divides the planes. So, according to theta healing, shamans work with the fourth plane of existence. And that when you dance and you work at that level, there are certain programs that get in the way of sort of like the expansion of a shaman or a shamaness. So, data helps us release some of those programs that get in the way. For instance, one of the programs, and I need to double check this, but one of the programs I believe is that you have to walk through a death door to ascend or to spiritually grow, or that you have to go through very hard initiations to awaken, right? These are like, they call it the dark night of the soul, or sort of like initiating through suffering and hardship, right? So being initiated through suffering and hardship. And though a lot of us do go through some of that, there is a point in our spiritual expansion into unconditional love where we can release those programs, right? So we can release that we have to go through very rough initiations or suffering to grow. And so this is for people on the fourth and fifth planes. Fifth plane is more working with angels and ascended masters. So what I found is that there were a lot of programs of suffering and ascension and growth through suffering and through really hard initiations that I let go of when I started becoming a theta healer. And so while I was working with the fourth plane, with shamanism, with the fifth plane, with angels and ascended masters, seventh plane, the energy of the creator, it is really, really helpful to go to the seventh plane first, to go to the realm of pure unconditional love. And then from that protection and vibration, we do the rest of our work. So in theta, we do the meditation, we go up and connect with the unconditional love of the divine, that white light, that magnificent, iridescent white light of the creator, where there are no people or things, there is only essence. From there, we do the rest of our work. We give Reiki, we channel angels or call in angels, we work with ascended masters, we do shamanic work. But under that umbrella, that protection and essence of unconditional love. So that's how I've also brought in my theta healing work is I always go up first. I connect with the white light. From there, I do the rest of my work. Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it does make sense to me. I mean, it's very, in some ways, it's actually how many of us already, the energy workers will already call in the light first. And that's love. That basically, that's love. That's God. That's whoever, whatever name you want to put on it. That's where you start. And then the rest comes into play.
Something else came to me, which is okay, this is a very big one. Bear with me, but it just came to my consciousness. So there was a time where I started Reiki 1 around 2008. And as this process evolved and grew, there was a distinct point where one can dance with the light and dark concepts too much. So we get stuck with this duality of light and dark, right? That there is, I want to say the need for protection, this constant need for protection. And I remember distinctly, I think I was 5 years into this metaphysical work, that a spiritual mentor of mine said to me, but if you are truly in the field of light and love when you're giving Reiki, if you're truly in this portal of light and unconditional love with a client, there's not so much of a need to constantly call for protection anymore. That the real protection is being one with this essence. And I remember I want to share with you that it went over my head a little bit at that time because it was the beginning of my practice and I was constantly looking for protection and I was too stuck with the duality of light and dark, right? So as my practice grew and as I became humbled through my clients, I realized that it's true that when I'm really connected through my daily practices, through self care, meditation, a regular practice of connecting with the divine, that I don't really need so much of this protection anymore. I'm already protected, and so is the client. And then I realized that's what Vayana Staibo taught us, which is go and connect with the pure light of the divine. From there, do the rest of your work because from there, you are truly in a state of non duality. You're not dancing, you're not stuck in that battle of light and dark anymore. And I share this here because this is something I teach my students is don't get stuck in that dualistic part of the fifth plane too much. Instead, find daily practices to connect with the divine as much as possible, because that's where the true protection comes from. And so this is one of the really profound benefits of my work with theta healing is I let go of fear as a practitioner and my work became easier almost. Like I let go of also my sense of control as a practitioner because the field of light around the Reiki table became more pure. And so then the words of my mentor made sense. I said, oh, that's what she meant. But it took a while for it to click.
Uh-huh, right. I mean, we all tend to get caught up with that. I mean, especially if you've been trained in one method or modality, and that's part of the training is to work to set up protections so that you can work in the light with the light. Um, but it totally makes sense to me that if you are in the light, that the light takes care of all of those fears and darkness and that kind of thing for you. I've heard of people who kind of make a contract with whoever their guide spirits, whatever. In this case, I would guess, the creator spirit or whatever, who is guiding you, the light, um, to whenever they step into a session, they already are in a place of light automatically. But I still think you have to kind of consciously go there, right? Put yourself there before you just get started on whatever work it is. So, but I think that's really wonderful that that Theta does that as well.
Mary, I wanted to build up on what you just mentioned.
Okay.
I feel like it's actually like an embodiment issue. So, like the embodiment of holding that energy and living it almost all day long. So, the embodiment through what we eat, conscious awareness of what we say and think, and how we live, really, like how our practices are during the day, taking time to connect with nature and taking time to um, silence. I feel something that's should be taught more is just the power of silence, right? The power of sitting in silence,
Mm.
and how simple it is, and how incredibly hard it's become to have silence. And I find that connecting with that energy, though theta healing teaches us a quick meditation to go and connect with the white light, the divine, it's really an embodiment issue that needs to be consistent. It's a practice. And like I recently went to my acupuncturist, and my liver was overworking because I'm overworking. So, working at a school, studying for my licensure exam, it's just been a lot. And then running my healing practice. I have a teenager. And she said to me, she said, your liver is screaming because the liver processes emotions and food and everything. And she said, what I would like to invite you to do is 5 times a day, I want you to sit in silence and just put your hands on your eyes and just sit and turn off all sensory stimuli. And so I started doing that because I feel there wasn't enough of it, at least in my life. And I imagine it's true of our collective too. And so that small practice really helped me connect with the divine a lot more, in addition to nature walks. And so um, I think the process that Vayana teaches us is really valuable in relation to our daily practices, right? So that's sort of what I'm learning as I go to, is just taking time out for silence.
I think this kind of is a great segue into one of the questions I had about the mind and spirit connection, where as a therapist and a hypnotherapist, both, how do you blend mental health therapy with spiritual energy healing?
It's been a journey. It's been a real journey. I went from hiding in my healing office and doing healing work all day, seeing clients one on one, primarily being in the presence of other light warriors, heart warriors, I call them, to just right into a school system, So I work with TK through 8th grade every day. I go into the classrooms, teach social emotional learning. I do one-on-one therapy, group therapy, all kinds of therapeutic work with them. And initially, the two worlds were compartmentalized for me. So I sort of lived in my head in two different existences, because then I would come home and see healing clients after the school. So imagine this back and forth inside me. And then I realized as the years progressed working with children, and what an immense blessing it's been to be in the presence of children for 5 years. It's been incredible that I can hold the energy that was built up through the years and the intuition, the intuitive aspect of the work I've done, which also evolved through the years, and the unconditional love and compassion that came through all the years of working with metaphysical work, that I don't need to say anything. I can hold these vibrations when I'm doing my therapeutic work with kids. And when one works with kids, they take us into a trance. They do. So the children take me into a trance state because they're mostly, especially the little ones, are still in a theta brainwave.
Yeah, there's the connection is still strong there. Yeah.
They're in a theta brainwave and they're so magical. They're so magical and mystical. And so that's sort of, oh, I'm still evolving, but that's sort of where I am, is cultivating the right consciousness and then holding that consciousness for them so that some of them, they are also healers and they need to be seen and they recognize, they kind of we recognize each other and they come in on their own in the school. I've had self referrals by children who are very magical and mystical and they're healers themselves. So I guess all of it, all of what I'm saying, I'm trying to convey that I realized it's not separate, that I can sort of carry this energy into the clinical work and and um and sort of go with the flow. Go with the flow. One, I want to say one aspect of my healing work that I think it's really beneficial in the therapeutic world is witnessing with compassion. So the art of non-doing and just being in the zone of let's name this and let's sit with it and let's compassionately witness this without any action. And that's been really powerful working with kids because a lot of the healing happens just by naming something and then sitting with them in that space of compassion while naming something. And so this has been an area where I've been able to fuse the two worlds. And I don't know what's coming. I'm about to embark on my own private practice. I have no idea how this is going to evolve. So I'm sure I'll have a different view in 5 years again. But this is where I am with them. And just like I consider it such a blessing to that universe entrusts me in working with kids because they are truly seeds, right? They're seeds. And a lot of them need to be seen for who they are. And I'm not saying that I am necessarily the person that sees them. I do feel that a lot of them need that quiet space of unconditional love. And so that's where I think I've shifted into not relying so much on techniques and modalities. And that's been another area where I've surrendered. Like we don't always need to have a treatment plan. It's
To go with your intuition on
go with intuition and the really pure clinical realm is very fragmented and you make treatment plans and goals and all these things. And that's not my work. I'm more of a play therapist. So I utilize playtime to help kids. And
Do
so,
you work with groups at all, or is it strictly one-on-one?
I work with a lot of groups. It's really interesting. I observed a pattern in my work within the school. I work at two different schools, but I'm full-time in one. Is a lot of my work has been on helping young girls resolve things, resolve conflict, resolve egoic projections, which is normal because when we're that age, we're supposed to develop an ego identity. So it's very normal, is the stage of ego development. right? And then we go through ego death as we get older. So the processes we're born, we build up, so we go through socialization, our ego begins to develop, healthy or unhealthy, and then we go through a process of ego death, and then we realize we're truly one with the divine. But at that age, they are supposed to build ego identity, and I recognize that. But in that process of developing ego identity, there are a lot of conflicts. There's a lot of conflict. And a lot of my work is bringing girls in circles and just helping them talk it out and helping them find sort of the middle ground and sort of go through these ebbs and flows of being in friendships and social situations. So that's one type of group that I've done a lot of. Another type of group is helping sensitive young souls, and this is truly where I love my what I do is I help highly sensitive, empathetic middle schoolers, especially girls, have a mindfulness circle. So I do mindfulness circles with them. And so we take, let's say, 1 or 2 lunches per week, and we sit and meditate. And I use sound healing. I take my sound healing tools into my school office. We meditate, we do body scanning. I've taught them to rub their hands and put their own healing hands on where they find tension. I've taught tapping. I've taught them the power of grounding. And so this is where I think you can definitely say there's a marriage of my two worlds. It's through helping them tap into their own energy. And often the people that sign up for that are the highly sensitive children and adolescents. So that's self-empowering work. I
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Wow.
Wow. That's great. So I think we're at a good point to start opening up for questions. Does anyone have a question for Tamara? Does anybody want to know more about a specific topic that she touched on? Any ideas, suggestions, questions? No. Okay, Patty, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. You need to
I'm
unmute.
usually busy Sunday night with the family dinner, so
Okay.
we did afternoon instead today. So, and I'm so happy because Tamara, you taught the boundary class a few years back, and you were in it too, Mary, I think. Yeah, we were kind of on the same track,
Yep.
and it was really great. And so I'm so happy to connect with you again. And I also work with kids, TK to 8th grade, and mine is as a home hospital teacher, that capacity of my work. And so many of them are kids who refuse to go to school for one reason or another. So the things you're saying just reinforce kind of what I do. And I take notes every day of what I did with them. But sometimes I think, well, so much for math today, because but we cleared something else up. And and I've done stuff like rubbing hands too, and it's I'm not supposed I mean my job isn't to be doing social emotional training or any of that, but I just pull in those pieces that I used for myself. And I just I mainly want to thank you more than having a specific question. Oh, I know, I do have a question. And that is, if you have a child, sometimes I even sub, or I do other things on a campus, and I might get called, to go in and help a teacher because their aide is gone. And, there's a child who needs someone desperately. And, they're either ready to run, or they're really emotionally charged. And you just have to kind of think what's going to work at that moment. But do you have like a first go-to trick with the kids?
I do. I love this has worked for me. I love the butterfly tap.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite thing because it grounds them so quickly.
Yeah.
So I have them do like either alternate butterfly taps or, and I do it on myself too.
Yeah.
I do
What is alternate? What do you mean by that? I don't.
one at a
Oh,
time.
oh, oh, yeah.
Combine it with deep breathing for them if they're willing. If not, they can just do the tapping. That's one that always does the, it really is very effective.
Yes.
Another one that is absolute favorite, and they actually tend to laugh and have a good time with this one, is where you like crunch up every muscle in your body. And then the fun part is when they melt. There's a meditation I use for this on YouTube called the melting meditation, and they all go crazy over this. So like no matter the age, they go crazy, TK through eighth. So like you tighten, 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 and then you let go and you start melting. And some of them throw themselves on the ground. And it's really funny because, and I'm in a very kind of like, I'm in a very organized school. And like, this is the best because like the kids are just like on the floor and the tension releases because they're tensing every muscle, and then when they release and let go and they're being silly, the tension kind of leaves their
Yeah.
body. That's like
That's,
that's my favorite. The
yeah.
melting one is my favorite, and then the tapping. And if you have the chance, it's not always possible. I will take them out into nature if it's one-on-one, and I'll sit with them under the sun, and I'll just let them sort of ground organically. But I know what you mean. There have been days where it's just you and a group of kids. So that's like the easiest thing to take.
Yeah. Or,
Like,
it's like it's, breathing would help, but you can't get them to breathe right now. They're too wound up. But I like the butterfly one because they're actually self-hugging at the same time, and the cross body,
here,
brain.
it
So
froze
that's,
for a second.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
Yeah, and then one more is the squeezing of the fingers while they take deep breaths. That's also very, very helpful, just squeezing the finger.
Mm.
But
And
yeah, the melting is my most favorite. I'll tell you, it's number one.
okay, I haven't tried that. I will. Thank
And
you.
I do it with them, and it feels really good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I'm gonna have my grandson practice with. I'm gonna have him
So
practice.
fun. Yeah.
Great.
I'll just tell him he has to help me. That next time he's melting down, I need your help. Can you
Um,
squeeze? Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks.
I
Thank you.
everything I teach in classes, I do with them. So I stand in front and I do with them, and then I'm like, no wonder I'm calm more for most of the day. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason.
Yeah. No, it
Okay.
helps. Yeah.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank you. Thank
Does
you.
anyone else have a question? Okay, Diana, you're up.
Hi, Tamara. I don't know if you remember me, but I worked with you, I think, over 2 years ago as I was starting my
That's right. It's nice
evolution. As
again. I thought about you the other day.
well, here we are. So,
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks ago. You can I felt your energy. I thought, I wonder, I just thought of you with love. Yeah.
thank
Nice.
you. So,
What's
Yeah.
your question, Diana?
yeah, actually, when you were talking about being very sensitive and empathic, that has actually been something that has been true for me for most of my life. Um, and when I was young, I felt extremely vulnerable, uh, being open like that. And I'm finding as I'm continuing my path, that's coming more to the surface uh, again. And sometimes I wonder if I, or if I need to learn how to protect myself better, excuse me, or if there's something I should do. I mean, because sometimes I feel as if I have the now being older, I have this sort of internal strength and power to withstand anything while simultaneously being open like that. But like I said, I have questions about that. So I'd be curious to hear what you might say. And just one quick thing. To me, that's part of my experience of my own femininity and also the divine feminine. So
Yes. Yeah, I want to say, um, I can just share with you what I'm witnessing in the people that I work with, the highly sensitive, empathetic beings, and just my own process of living with
oh, she cut out.
who are sensitives in my house myself, is I am finding that nature has been one of my greatest protectors. So working with the elements, working with the light of the sun, the air, Mother Earth, with the tree kingdom, right? Working with nature beings has been highly protective for me, and retreating from the human kingdom, I want to say. So, like, retreating, this is true. As much as I love humans and I love being human, I love being on Earth. I'm a Virgo sun. I love Mother Earth and I love being in the body. And I love the blessing of this life is retreating from the human kingdom and going into the nature kingdom has been one of my greatest protections on a daily basis. And it's really helped me manage my sensitivity. When I sort of go and talk to the elements and work with the elements and ask them to, like, I ask the water to take my prayers or the earth to take my density, or I work with the sun to cleanse my third eye. That's been amazing. And the process of connecting to the light that I talked about, the theta healing meditation, has been very protective. And of course, Reiki, working with Reiki. But honestly, I am finding these days that the vulnerability, I don't know what's going on with our collective, but it's almost like a lot of sensitive people are getting activated and we're opening up to a degree that we haven't before. And I have a theory, which is that the earth is trying to balance its energy, right? The density with light. And so a lot of sensitive people are opening their energy to sort of help in that collective balancing process. But at the same time, we're in this organic human body and we have to survive this organic existence. So we
Right.
have to be kind to our organic existence while we have this higher dharma of balancing the energy on planet Earth right now. So what I'm finding is those spaces of silence are proving to be incredibly medicinal.
Yeah,
Just
that's great.
retreating into nature, retreating into pure sensory silence and
Mhm.
connecting with the divine, and also like really having self-compassion because we are in this earthly existence and we've got to just create those spaces so we can survive this lifetime. I will add one thing. A friend of mine said something to me that shook me, which was, we know you've had a lot of past lives and you have had parallel lives and future lives, but you are Tamara Nakhjavani. You are this existence once in this lifetime. So be kind to yourself, she said. And I was like, oh my God, this really clicked for me. I hope this is helpful. I work with the elements and it's helping a lot and those spaces of silence.
Super, super, super suggestions. Yeah. Before we get on, I see you, Ron, but Susie, do you have a question before you need to go?
No, I just wanted to thank her so much, and it really validates the hypnotherapist I'm working with through HGH. She's been talking to me about being safe, resting, and she's been creating all these beautiful AI images for me at night to feel safe, resting. And then when you're saying about feeling, safe and resting, and there was one more thing about being able to, yeah, feel safe in our body, then we don't need all the protection. So the schools are so fortunate to have you. All the kids are so fortunate to have you, and
I think you're frozen.
amazing. So thank you. Thanks, Mary. I'm going to try to stay as long as I can. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think Ron had.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Susie. If you need to run, you're welcome to do so. Thank you. And Ron, what about your question or comment?
Well, it's because she was talking about sensitivity on kids. I wish I would have found that a long time ago when I was a kid, because I realize, what she's talking about is very needed right now in this world. And I'm just saying, if I would have had somebody teach me something, maybe, my survival wouldn't be been so up and down like crazy. But
Mm,
I want to add to that that actually she's talked about nature. Nature actually saved me. I mean, literally saved me mentally and emotionally because because I was so sensitive, but I didn't understand what was happening to me.
wow.
I'm still sensitive, but I know a lot better now. I know what's my energy and somebody else's energy.
Yes. For me,
And
not me.
I
Yeah.
didn't know about boundaries. I didn't even know about limited beliefs. I crashed right into it and I go, oh my God. And I said, that's not me. This is me. This is not me. And all this stuff. But it took a lot of years to get there because of the struggle, because of the sensitivity, because not understanding how what's my energy and what's somebody else's energy.
Right.
So it's like a magnet. I picked up everything.
Oh, gosh.
I didn't even know I was an empath. I said, somebody told me you're an empath. I said, what the hell is that?
Mhm.
Then I found out what it was, and I said, oh my God, I'm that. And I've had that since I'm a child. So when she mentions something about nature, I know what she's talking about. Nature
Yeah.
saved my life. Actually did. By going alone in nature, watching birds, calling things, watching life.
Mm. Oh,
It,
that's
it
beautiful,
made
Ron.
me realize life was starting there. Watching life go on. It wasn't what I was,
Experiencing yourself. Yeah.
you see what I mean? That
Yeah.
life watching birds connect with each other, frogs in the swamp, all kinds of stuff like that. That's why I'm saying nature saved me when I
Mhm.
was young, because mentally
Yeah.
and emotionally,
That's wonderful.
So
Yeah. Thank you, Ron.
and
Thank
and I know that she's doing a really, oh my God, I honor her for what the work she's doing, because I really believe what she's doing is really needed. And it's special to work with kids,
you.
like she's saying.
Yes.
Because
It's wonderful to see it being brought into the young people at this time. Yeah.
yeah, and it will bring a
That's great.
better
That's great.
humanity ahead, a better humanity in
Absolutely.
the future. So thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing that.
Great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and it's time to turn our attentions to going and practicing what we've just heard about. Staying connected, being connected, and acknowledging that connection constantly. Tamara, thank you so much for being our guest. Really appreciate your discussion of your topic. I feel more educated now about theta healing. Thank you. And
Oh, thank you.
I'll be putting the recording up in the next couple of days, hopefully tomorrow. And you're welcome to go back and review it as you wish then. I'm going to stop the recording here. Thank you very much.